Good evening, Zimbabwe. This is Change Radio News. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of June, 2024. The news read by Divine Nambira. Stories making the headlines. President Chamisa mourns Malawi Vice President. South Africa court dismisses attempts by an imposter to hijack the MK party. Speaker of Parliament blocks CCC MP from questioning Mnangagwa's remarks in Russia. And now the stories in detail. Today, President Chamisa has expressed deep sorrow over the tragic plane crash in Malawi. The crash claimed the lives of Vice President Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima and 8 others. The President extended condolences to the people and government of Malawi, especially the families and friends of the deceased. He offered thoughts and prayers for comfort and strength during this time, emphasizing African unity. In breaking news from South Africa, the Electoral Court has dismissed Jabulani Khumalo's application to be reinstated as the leader of the MK party. Khumalo claims the letter sent to the IEC stating he ceded power to former President Jacob Zuma was forged. The court dismissed his claim and his entire application. The court said the application is frivolous, lacks merit, and constitutes an abuse of the court's processes and ordered him to pay the costs. His attempts to take over the MK party are similar to how ZANU-PF took over CCC from President Nelson Chamisa. ZANU-PF used an imposter secretary general. The General Zimbabwean public applauded the South African courts for standing firm against imposters. The use of imposters to take over opposition parties undermines democracy and has further deepened the political crisis in Zimbabwe. In Parliament yesterday, the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Mudenda, blocked opposition CCC MP Gladys Hlatshwayo from raising concerns about Mr. Mnangagwa's comments in St. Petersburg, Russia. In his remarks, Mnangagwa referred to Zambia as an American client state, escalating tensions with neighboring countries. Hlatshwayo's attempt to discuss the issue was dismissed by Mudenda, who argued that foreign affairs are the executive's responsibility. For more clarification on this, Change Radio spoke to Honorable Gladys Hlatshwayo, and this is what she said.
Yesterday, I rose on a point of national interest in the Parliament of Zimbabwe, just to urge the executive arm of government, and in particular the president, to refrain from making comments that unsettle, countries in the region and also our neighbors. And obviously, this came as a result of the widely publicized comments that suggested that Zambia and Malawi are posing a security threat to Zimbabwe through their association with the United States. And these comments were made at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum in Russia, where Mr. Mnangagwa attended. These comments, are problematic at various levels. The first level is obviously as the incoming chairperson of SADC. It is, a little bit shocking that, an incoming chairperson of SADC can say such comments about countries that are members of the Southern African Development Community. And we also know that, one of the main objectives of SADC is also peace and security. And yet we have an incoming chairperson who is actually threatening peace and security by, giving inflammatory remarks or inflammatory, comments about member states of SADC. These comments also go against our foreign policy on reaffirmation. One of the policies that government is pursuing in terms of foreign policy is reaffirmation at a regional level. making sure that there is consolidation at a regional level. And so going up after, countries that are also part of the Southern African Development Community from a reaffirmation policy perspective, is not right. Section 12 of our Constitution also, stipulates that one of the principles for our foreign policy as a country is peaceful coexistence with other nations. And obviously these remarks go against that very principle that is protected by the Constitution of Zimbabwe. What is even shocking is that we had a reaction from the Speaker of Parliament. Instead of allowing me to finish my point of national interest, I was cut short. I was not just cut short, I was also told that foreign policy was outside the purview of parliamentarians, which I find to be disingenuous, especially when you consider that the role of parliament is to provide oversight to the executive. And we actually have a foreign affairs and international trade committee, portfolio committee, where I am a member. And the role of that particular committee is to provide oversight to the executive in as far as foreign policy issues are concerned. So for the speaker to argue that foreign policy is outside the purview of Parliament is very unfortunate, and also speaks to how our institutions have been eroded, and how it is important that as we talk about building a democratic Zimbabwe, we also pay attention to the question of institutions and building strong and inclusive institutions that will serve the citizens despite their political color.
This incident highlights ongoing issues with parliamentary oversight in Zimbabwe, where the executive often avoids scrutiny and criticism. Mudenda's actions reflect a broader trend of undermining democratic processes and limiting the opposition's role in parliament. Yesterday, community stakeholders attended a meeting organized by the Ministry of Health and Childcare, the City of Harare's Health Department, and UNICEF. The meeting aims to prepare for the upcoming polio vaccination program. The agenda focused on mobilizing residents to understand and participate in the vaccination campaign for children, which will run from July 1st to 4th. Change Radio reporter Kokelani Shame interviewed one of the stakeholders, Mr. Wangai Nyanue, who attended the meeting. Let's hear what he had to say.
Indeed, today we got the opportunity to attend the stakeholders meeting that was organized by Gladview Polyclinic in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, UNICEF, and amongst other stakeholders that were present. The agenda was to plan towards a campaign that is going to be done for polio vaccination within our constituency, which is Glenview South. And this campaign is going to be done from the 1st of July up to the 4th of July. This is after the Ministry of Health has identified samples of polio in the leakages or the sewer systems in Harare. So this is going to be a campaign in which young children below the age of 10 are going to be, from 0 to below 10, are going to be vaccinated to avoid incidences of polio. So we learned quite important things at the meeting, and we got to understand that polio is something that children need to be vaccinated against almost every time that there are strains of polio that are found within the country. We were told that there was an outbreak of polio in countries such as I'm not sure in other countries, but in Zimbabwe there were strains of polio that were found in last year in 2023, and there was a vaccination campaign that was done in 2023, and this year there's also another strain, so they need to vaccinate people. So in general there was that hesitation that there is need to debunk the myths or the fears that are found within the residents. People are always skeptical of vaccinations, but it was quite enlightening to know that there is no harm that is coming from these vaccines. So in this all stakeholder meeting, schools were in attendance, preschools, churches, in order for them to go and encourage the residents or the citizens to take part in this campaign. So yes, it was quite a very, very important meeting, and it was quite enlightening, debunking some of the myths that are found or that are associated with vaccination.
Our reporter also spoke to the representative for Glenview Health Center Committee, Mrs. Judith Pepukai, and this is what she said.
Meeting yatinayo nhasi ndadzidza ndikanzwisisa kuti polio chinhu chakaipa zvakanyanyisa, nokuti mwana anoberekwa asina kuremara, asina mheta makumbo, ongozoerekana angonzi aita mheta makumbo, mwana haachakwanisi kufamba ega. Chinhu chinorwadza nekusiririsa kuti mwana uyu anenge akazvarwa zvakanaka. Saka apa ngati ndinokurudzira kuti munhu wese zvake akasungirwa nepfungwa dzake nemafungira ake ese kuti aende kumwana adonhedzerwe NOPV 2 extra dose pane zvaiitwa kana dai akadonhedzerwa kakatowanda. Zvinotoda kuti adonhedzerwe kakatowanda ikako kudzivirira mheta makumbo, nokuti zvinosiririsa zvakanyanya. Ndinokurudzira munhu wese zvake ari kurarama ari munyika medu muno muZimbabwe kana padhuze nepatinogara pose, kuti munhu ngaanzwe kuti moyo wake kuti mwana wangu ngaararame zvakanaka, asaita hurema hukitadza kuenda naye kunodonhedzerwa. Pachafamba vana mukoti munharaunda dzedu, ngatinzwei kuvaswededza padhuze nesu vana vedu vadonhedzerwe pane kuti tiregerere vana vedu vaite mheta makumbo. Haiwa, munhu wese ngatichengetedzei kodzero dzevana vedu, nokuti tikatedzera kodzero dzevana, ramangwana ndo vanotichengeta, ndo vana baba, ndozve vana baba nana mai nana president ramangwana. Saka ngativakudzei mune zvakanaka, utano hwavo huripo. Munhu wese akasungirwa kuti mwana wake aende adonhedzerwe. Panotenderera vana mukoti vachidonhedzera vana, chingonzwa kuti mwana wangu dai angodonhedzerwawo. Vachatanga kudonhedzera kutanga musi wa1 July kusvikira musi wa4 July. Ungadarikawo nemazuva 4 ese wakagara kumba, mwana achizosvika pakuremara here. Ngatisumukei zuva irori tifarire kundodonhedzera vana vedu vakure vane utano hwakanaka. Ndinokutendai.
Child welfare organizations are facing hardships in delivering services due to the ongoing economic crisis in the country. Yesterday, Change Radio spoke to representatives from child welfare organizations based in Harare. They revealed that despite their efforts to care for vulnerable children, economic challenges are making it difficult to access necessary resources. We spoke to Mr. Piwa Mbombe, the secretary and co-founder of Global Girl Child Trust, and this is what he said.
As a Girl Child organization, we've managed to relocate 6 abused children to different children homes around Zimbabwe and to empower teenage mothers, young mothers, and some girls with different projects like creamy and bead handbag making, detergent making, broiler keeping and mushroom farming, and to others we funded them to do short courses. So we were also able to pay school fees as well as giving new commuting forms to the less privileged and to a number of orphans around Harare. However, due to lack of funding, we are facing a number of challenges stemming from blankets, foodstuffs, finances for medicals, clothes, as well as access to rehabilitation centers for those who are affected by drug abuse. We are also looking forward to have our own center where we can accommodate those who are in need.
Change Radio also spoke to a coordinator at Ishiani Multipurpose Center for Disabled who did not want to be named, and this is what she said.
Isusu paishani pamakore 5 apfuura hatina kana chatakakwanisa kuita kuburikidza neCOVID. Tinoshuvira kuti tigadzirise bhohoro, toita maprojects ekuchengeta huku, toita zvegardening uye juraho musha wedu wakashama. Chiri kutitadzisa kuita izvozvi kushayiwa zvikwanisiro.
Honorable Ostalo Siziba has said that he supports the idea of having leaders of the party who are not contesting to be in parliament. He made these remarks in a TV show hosted by a local publication this week. He argued that decisions of a political party, especially those that affected elected members, must not be done by those elected. Let's hear him speaking.
We went to the meeting which was sharply divided. In fact, there were people who agreed that in the meeting, let's not allow so and so to speak because they want to bring a radical agenda that we must resign. It is for that reason why I ended up holding a press conference on behalf of the movement to communicate that we've made a decision to stay away, to disengage from Parliament for 21 sittings, right? It was a decision, I think, for 14 sittings. Can't remember. But I think it was 14 days, right? Because it became everyone the danger, which is a lesson and a learning point. And I've said this to everyone in the movement to say, comrades, if we are going to build a new political organization, one of the lessons, there are people who must be in the highest decision-making body of the party, who must not be allowed to hold a public office like being an MP. If you look at the ANC, the Secretary General, you are not allowed to be an MP. What happened is that when we went for the meeting of the party, which had the power to make a decision whether or not we resign en masse, right? The people who were making the decisions were also members of Parliament, right? So these are people who had interest. So they pushed the party to make a lukewarm decision. Or let me put it, we pushed the party, because I was part of that meeting. We pushed the party to take a lukewarm stance to say, no, we'd rather disengage rather than to resign en masse, right? Because everyone was looking at self-preservation, right? Which is when, at that time, when President Chamisa realized that, no, I've lost the political control of this party. Because I've said, let's resign en masse. And people are saying, no, we can't take that position. It's an emotional one. People are not thinking through. You are being student activist and so forth. But we said, look, follow the conscience of the moment. Every citizen is saying, let's resign. And why are we staying there, right? So
yesterday, the Warriors were beaten 3-1 by South Africa's Bafana Bafana. This defeat comes amidst the political, economic, and leadership crisis in Zimbabwe. The country lacks a single up-to-standard football pitch, preventing the Warriors from hosting matches domestically. Change Radio spoke to former Masvingo Central Member of Parliament, Honorable Chitande, on this issue. He stated that corruption and nepotism have brought the country to this low level. Let's hear Honorable Chitando speaking to Change Radio.
From the year 2000, when ZANU-PF realized that its support base was dwindling, they went on to embark on the land invasion But people didn't understand also that ZANU-PF was also invading in the sporting arenas. See what they did to cricket. See what they did to tennis. See what they did to soccer. This, if you take a deeper look into soccer, you will see that's when Leo Mugabe came in, that's when Chiangwa came in. All these people had nothing to do with soccer. They had nothing except to come and try to get the sympathy vote from soccer supporters so that ZANU-PF would be resuscitated. This marked the decline of sport in the country. Cricket fell down. Tennis was on a decline. Boxing was on a decline. Soccer was taking a similar pattern. So, there are two issues here, which I also realized when I was in the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Sport. That is, 1, nepotism, 2, corruption. We had to investigate the Asia Gate as a Parliamentary Portfolio Committee. We had also to investigate on the decline of the sporting facilities in the country. If people understand Captain Dube was the president of ZIFA, the amount of money which he was getting, and also his political affiliation, people should understand it. If you take a look as a portfolio committee, we visited the National Sports Stadium, Magamba, Hockey Stadium, and Chitungwiza Aquatic Center. They were all in a pathetic situation. They were deteriorating. If anyone doubts that the National Sports Stadium is unfit for international matches, please ask any member of parliament who was in the 6th parliament. They will tell you that the contractors, the Chinese themselves, admitted that the National Sports Stadium was unfit for international matches. People would look at the National Sports Stadium from outside and think that it is a very good building, but inside the dressing rooms, the toilets, nearly everything is horrible. And the ZANU-PF is known to use millions and millions of dollars for campaign purposes. We know that these ZANU-PF, they looted diamonds, which Mugabe acknowledged, but they failed to renovate the National Sports Stadium. Truly, we have got a leadership crisis. Our soccer will not see the days of the dream team.
Esau Chivia, former Secretary General of SADC Parliamentary Forum, has died. He passed away in Windhoek, Namibia on Monday. His body will be repatriated to Zimbabwe for burial. Roger Mansiene, SADC-PF president, praised Chivia's dedication and impact on parliamentary democracy. Chivia served from August 2009 to June 2019. Boemo Segoma, the current Secretary General, highlighted his contributions to national parliaments. Namibia's Speaker Peter Kachavivi honored Chivia with a minute of silence. Condolences have been extended to his family. On the health front, upper respiratory illnesses are spreading in Zimbabwe this winter. Besides the common cold, there is also COVID-19. Change Radio encourages citizens to take necessary precautions to minimize the spread of these transmissible respiratory diseases, to seek medical help early so they get tested and receive appropriate treatment in a timely manner. And finally, in sports, in the African World Cup qualifiers' last 5 matches, Zimbabwe is at the bottom of the table in Group C. Zimbabwe has not won any matches, with 2 draws and 2 losses. Rwanda tops the group, followed by South Africa, Benin, Lesotho, and Nigeria. In other groups, Egypt tops Group A, Sudan leads Group B, Cameroon tops Group D, Morocco leads Group E, Ivory Coast tops Group F, Algeria is at the top of Group G, Tunisia dominates Group H, Comoros is at the top of Group I. And to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. President Chamisa mourns Malawi Vice President. South Africa court dismisses attempts by an imposter to hijack the MK party. Speaker of Parliament blocks CCC MP from questioning Mnangagwa's remarks in Russia.